I've tried a lot of different map makers, and this one is my new favorite. It allowed me to make this in just 10 minutes. It has tools that let you build things quickly with broad strokes, or dive into the details and fine-tune everything. Oh, and did I mention it has animations? Let's dive into it. Thank you so much to dScryb for sponsoring this video. More on that later. Welcome to the... Whoa. We could go anywhere. Welcome to the city gates of an ancient civilization on a different planet, 1,000 years in the future, that's about to be destroyed by a wormhole unleashed by a guy dressed like a Templar knight. Oh, well, I guess not anywhere. How about this instead? Welcome to this place. I'm Kelly, and we're gonna make some really cool maps. This is Canvas of Kings. It's $18.99 on Steam, and it's packed with a bunch of really cool features, like automatic lighting, animations, and birds that randomly fly across the map. But first, I want to show you the main concept that this map maker is built on, and how it allows you to make huge but detailed maps very quickly. In Canvas of Kings, you can either build by placing individual assets, or by defining areas and having assets auto-populate. After you define your area, you can have it regenerate until you find an arrangement that you like. Then, if you want to go in and tweak the layout, you can break any asset out of the group and make it an individual asset. By the way, this map maker definitely does have some downsides, but we'll get to that in a second. Half the reason I love this map maker is the functionality, and the other half is the aesthetic. I love the hand-drawn look combined with the realistic lighting and shadows. I just think it looks so good. Before we go through the functionality and look at what you can build, and maybe more importantly, what you can't build quite yet, I want to show you exactly how Hannes was able to achieve this look, which will also help give some context for what I'm going to talk about later. To achieve the hand-drawn look, Hannes, the creator of Canvas of Kings, draws each element by hand and then scans them from their sketchbook and converts them to vectors. Then Hannes brings each asset into the game engine and arranges the assets in 3D space. As a quick aside, this program is built in Godot, which is a free and open source game engine that I've been playing around with a bit, so it's really fun to see a project that's built in it. Dungeon Draft, another excellent map maker, is also built in Godot. Anyways, after arranging the parts of each asset in 3D space, then Hannes adds it to the map maker. This is how the game engine is able to generate those great looking shadows and the automatic lighting. The time and care that Hannes puts into each and every asset is part of what I think sets this map maker apart. But it also leads to the biggest downside, the asset availability. Development seems to be moving at a pretty good pace, and new stuff is coming out all the time, like the new room tool. But in its current state, it's somewhat limited in the types of maps you can make. This will change though, and I'm really excited to see what assets will be added in the near future. I'd love to see some sort of row housing or dense city buildings. With that out of the way, let's look at one of Canvas of Kings' biggest strengths, its speed and ease of use. This is the toolbar on the left. It has the object tool for placing individual objects, the path tool for rivers, roads, and pathways, the plot tool for making areas of houses, market stalls, crops, castles, or different types of terrain, and the new room tool, which can generate different types of interior rooms. The deco tool, which allows you to add your own image assets, the environment settings, which allows you to adjust the time of day, weather, and lighting colors, and the map settings, which allows you to adjust the export and the map quality. It's really nice to be able to add your own assets with the deco tool, but just note that they won't have the same shadows as the native assets because they aren't going through the 3D process I mentioned before. Before I make a map from start to finish to show you how everything works, I want to show you how you can use the sponsor of today's video, dScryb, to make your maps come alive. dScryb has incredible pre-written descriptions for locations, characters, spells, and pretty much everything else you could need. Making your map is just the first step, but describing each of the places from your map in rich detail will help fully immerse your players in the world. For example, I know that I'm going to have a tavern in my town, so I'll just search tavern, look through a few descriptions, and pick the one that best fits my world. You can either read these straight from dScryb, or you can use them as inspiration for writing your own descriptions. To really take it to the next level, let's open up their new music and sound effects tool, Opus. They have music and ambiences from a bunch of renowned artists, including the entire library of Michael Gelfi Studios. I'll just search tavern, then add in the tavern ambience, some tavern music, and the description that I liked best. Now when my players look at the map and decide to go into the tavern, I'll just hit play on the audio and read the description. I've been using Opus in my home game, and my players really seem to love it. Adding in the different sounds and ambiences has helped make my setting feel alive. You can use the code PowerWordSpill at checkout to get an extended 30-day free trial so you can try it out for yourself. Do you ever go to make a map and feel like you don't know where to begin? Sometimes I don't have a clear idea of what I want the general layout to look like, which makes starting the map difficult because there aren't any restrictions. Either I start with the landscape and terrain and then build around it, which is how real towns and cities develop, or I'll reference the layout of an existing map. It can be great to reference historical maps, other fantasy maps, or you can go to Wadabow, Fantasy Village, or Fantasy City Generator and generate a map to use as your starting point. This is the map I'm going to use as my starting point. Laying down rivers and roads is easy using the path tool, and then I can convert the anchor points to make the curves a bit more gentle. One improvement I would like to see is the blending between the water and the land. I really like the dungeon draft adds a stroke around water so it maintains the hand-drawn look but gives it a nice border. Okay, let's lay down some houses. Just take the area tool and draw out a shape and then let them populate. I'm going to turn off the border for these so that they blend together better. There are maximum area sizes for everything, so if you make an area that's too big, it'll tell you. I often find I have to put multiple shapes next to each other if I'm making a large forest or a big area of houses. And now I'm going to put some farm fields around the outskirts. After drawing your shape, you can hit Tab to have it generate something new. This also applies if you have an object selected with the Object tool. And now for the easy part, just fill all the spaces in with varying densities of forest. This is such an easy way to fill up a map and make it look way more detailed than it actually is. If we want to make a night version or change the colors, we can do that in here. Being able to make a day and a night version of any map is really cool. Now for the export. I must admit I was a little confused by the export process at first, but now that I understand it, I think it's a good system. I'll go over the best way to do an animated video export in a second, but first there are a couple of things we need to change to get the best looking maps. Head to settings, then quality, and make sure your texture quality is set to max, otherwise when you zoom in, it'll look blurry. There are two ways to do still image exports of maps, either using the map area or the screen area. To use the map area, we need to set it up. Head to the export tab, then hit show map area. Now you can either select paper size for a paper export, or switch to digital and then change the number of columns and the pixels per column value. Once you have some values to produce a final image with the dimensions that you're looking for, you can zoom out on your map, increase the map size slider, and position the map area where you want it. Now head into export mode. You can either export the map area and it'll export whatever's inside the red box, or you can position your view to where you'd like the export to be and hit export screen. You can also click export screen as WebM video and it'll export a video of your map so you get all the animations, but I found that this creates a super compressed video that doesn't look that great. Instead, I'd recommend just zooming into your map and then screen recording. If you don't have a screen recorder built in on your computer, you can use something like OBS to do this for free. You can hit the little eye icon in the top right to hide the UI while you screen record. To get the UI back, just press the escape key. I used Canvas of Kings to make the maps for my Divine Assassins one-shot, which you can grab from the Patreon. The link's down in the description. You can also find a podcast where Loren and I answer your questions, and on the most recent episode, I tell the story of my mustache.
You know, I feel like the story actually begins long ago.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much to my patrons. I really appreciate you. Are you going to give this map maker a try? Let me know down in the comments. Do you want to see a whole bunch of other map makers compared? I'm going to bet there is at least one in there that you've never heard of. Check out this video and this video to see that comparison. I appreciate you.